So we here with my brother, man. Super talented individual, super talented graphic artist, my brother Dunnie West. Thank you for stopping by the trophy room, brother.
Nah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
So Dunnie, man, like I don't even know where to start, man. Like so many places, but let's start where it all started, man. How long ago did you realize, art was your thing, man?
Man, it's a funny question because I didn't know art was gonna be my thing.
Uh,
Like kids, we all have different dreams and stuff. I thought I was gonna be a professional skateboarder,
or
and I could barely be on the board. But my passion for it, you would have thought I was gonna go somewhere. And, I kept busting my ass all the time. It's like, oh, this really ain't me. But eventually, though, I transitioned into had to go to college. My mom was like, yo, you got to do something because I was homeschooled.
Mhm.
So I just entered into college. I absolutely hated it. It was like the worst experience ever.
Yeah.
So I kept jumping to all these different classes, and then I saw photography popped up. And I was like, all right, let me see what it is. And I took the class. Thought it was completely most boring shit ever. But
Huh.
the teacher was like, yo, so this is how we edit the photos. And they opened up Photoshop. And the moment he opened that up, it was like Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail. That light hit me from that Adobe sign. I was like, oh, this is my life changed. That exact moment. It's like, wow, this is it. Because I've always, like a lot of people, you're curious, like, who makes magazine ads, who does billboards, like, how was this all created? And I really had no idea. And once I saw, like, this is the platform,
Yeah.
this is it.
Start soaking it all in.
And it was done. Then I just became an addict. Like,
Word.
literally, I became obsessed with knowing everything I could to know about the program.
Right.
By the way, I never finished that class.
Right.
Because all I cared about was Photoshop. I was
Yeah.
like Adobe. I was just addicted. I became like a crack fiend to know everything I could about how can I master this tool.
All right. Well, it kind of looks like it worked out.
It kind of worked out. I'm kind of glad that I became a crack addict for Adobe products. Yes,
Right. Right. So
Adobe cut the check.
you obviously took what you learned, you applied it. You know, when did you realize that you could actually turn your passion into a profit? And actually,
Definitely. So probably like a lot of people, I was always inspired by like some of the greats. You know, Puff, of course, obviously was somebody who inspired me, but like Kanye, Pharrell, all these guys were being paid to be creative.
uh-huh.
And now that I had found an outlet, I didn't still think I was really tangible in that field. I was like, I had a hobby, I was interested, but I didn't think anybody really would pay me for it.
Right.
So at that time, me and my friend kind of created like our own lane. We were interested in everything urban culture, from skateboarding, hip hop music, fashion, vinyl toys, all that, graffiti.
Dope.
We created like our own blog, our own, e-zine during MySpace days. I'm dating, so now I'm mad old too.
MySpace.com.
MySpace.com. And I started, we were just putting all of our efforts into that. We weren't even looking for profits really. It was like, how can we give back to the culture that it give so much to us? And through that process, interviewing and trying to find talent for the magazine, people started asking the question like, yo, who's designing this mag? And I would say like, well, yeah, that's me. They're like, well, you're designing 50 pages? Yeah. It's what I love to do. And through that process, I started getting hit. Like, the artist I was interviewing was like, hey, would you be interested in doing my album cover?
Right.
And my first initial response is no. Like, I don't want that pressure. I don't even know how to make an album cover. But, once life hits, I got bills too. It's like, I'll give it a try. And my first time out, it was the worst process ever. I hated it. Me and the artist kept bumping heads. One night he drove to my house at like 11 p.m. and dragged me to IHOP to work on the cover. And I was like, this is stupid. Like, why would anybody want to do this? And then we got to a point like, I remember waking up so vividly, sorry. I woke up in the morning, I just like, I am gonna be an insurance salesman. I do not like this. And I hear my mom in the background, and she became like white noise because all of a sudden the idea came to me what his cover should have been the whole time. Ran to the computer and did it, sent it to him, and that's when I knew I could get paid from this.
Right.
Because I was able to finally take an idea I saw in my head and turn it into like a tangible product, and then the client became happy.
Right.
And it all kind of became like full circle, kind of like when the dude took the Limitless pill.
Right.
I was like, oh shit. I was like, this is
clicked.
it. And so the magazine died, and I just went full blast into being a full-time artist.
That's dope, man. That's really ill. So I mean, in between that time that you just mentioned and when you first learned, what was driving you? You know, obviously besides like monetary vibes.
Of course.
You know, what was behind that? What was fueling you to keep learning, to keep, you know, pushing forward?
Like I said, like people like Pharrell, Kanye, Jay-Z, Puff, Murakami, Cause, Sam Flores, David Flores. You have all these artists, Basquiat, Keith Haring, all these people that like I looked up to as if like I really knew them. And the motivation I was getting from them, like the inspiration, was just feeding right into me. It's like, I have to do that. I have to be in this realm. Not because I wanted the accolades, but it's like, I want to create art that's going to inspire somebody else.
On that
like,
level.
I want to eventually know at one point in my life, I created an artwork that affected somebody so much that they took the pivot in their life. Like, you know what? Staples isn't for me. Like I saw this Dunnie piece and I had to go after it, or at least inspire somebody to think about art differently. Like as an artist, the only thing you could really hope is that you invoke some type of emotion out of somebody, good, bad, you know. And that was just a driving force for me. And then, in essence, it became a driving force towards my client. I need my client to feel the same passion about this art I'm making for them, not just, you know, it's a contract. Hey, I'm paying you to do this. Like, no, I need you to feel as much passion for your project as mine. So that's just something that ended up seeping into my work life. But it really, everything just stemmed from that passion.
That's dope, man. So is there, you know, I'm pretty sure that you've touched music, you know, you mentioned editorial, skate, fashion. Is there something that you enjoy more than others?
At different stages in my life, it's been those different outlets.
Yeah.
You know, when I first started, it was everything skate. Then it went to everything graffiti. Then it was all music. And then music became like my profession, but in the background it was film. Then it was photography. I kind of came like a wheel of fortune of whatever passion came up. Or if I'd be inspired by something, like when I saw Kanye's Runaway film, I was obsessed with film for like 6 months straight.
Which was a crazy joint too. That was
like, it was one of those things. Like all of a sudden I was like, it redirected me back to being a director and a DP, and his coloring on it I thought was just amazing. So then I was like, you know what? I don't really know coloring like I should. I need to become obsessed with coloring. So there's never been a moment where one thing, you know, took front seat. Everything was just moving around the car at one time. So.
What's been like some of your most favorite things to work on as far as like the finished product that you can actually sit back and be like, oh man, damn.
I've had great ones, but only more recently it's been the Bad Boy Can't Stop Won't Stop movie. That was been the most labor intensive like passion project ever, because I hated that movie at times. There was times when I wake up and see that email chain and I'll be like, can't stop, won't stop. Like, yo, I want this movie to be over with. If I had to hear one more edit, critique, all that. But now that the process is over, I can look back and the Apple meetings with Jimmy Iovine and Larry Jackson and Puff, and you know, the starting creative I would do with, you know, my team, Los, Dion, Perez, Kaito. Like, I appreciate all that experience now, all those conversations, all the back and forth, all the text threads. Like, that was a great experience, because then I get to drive down Sunset, and my billboard is literally 4 or 5 blocks on Sunset. Like, that's a surreal moment. And the sad part is the first few times I couldn't even appreciate it, because it was like,
I was about to say that. It's not even like you could run away from it, dog. Like, you couldn't.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at a certain point, it was like I was so like just tired of the movie, in a sense,
Even
not in a bad way.
York, you'll still see it. It's in Times Square.
Yeah, we're in New York, and it's at a bus stop where I'm sitting in the Uber, like he's just staring at me. But it was probably a project I'll forever remember, and I ended up getting like my first noted movie credit in there, which is amazing. But it was a passion project for sure, because there were days it's like I love it, I hate it.
I guess that's art, right?
That's exactly what it is. It's art. And I mean, and I say this to say too, like in a project like that, I remember back then I would have done anything to be a part of it. I would have done shit for free. I would have been a runner. I would have been a PA. Anything that could be involved. So then to be at this point where I got paid to do it, that just made the experience even more better.
Hell yeah. So let's switch lanes real quick. So you're at your desk, man, and you know you're about to get busy on some new work. And, you know you got to set the vibe right. You know, who are you pressing play on right now in your office? Who are you listening to? Who's giving you that vibe to keep, you know, to give you what you need to give the world? You know what I mean? Who's giving you that vibe right now?
Man, that's a funny question. I'm probably the worst music curator in the world. I definitely grab whatever Shazam just gave me, and I kind of live with it. But it's interesting for me because I end up living with songs I feel a lot longer than the average person. So one week it could be a Travis Scott project because it's like it's just right there and I'm clicking straight to it.
Right.
Then I might jump to like Selection, which really helps me through a lot. Selection playlist, shit, I have the numbers memorized at certain points because those playlists will be everything. But then in a certain time, like I might have Seinfeld on in the background.
Yeah, inspiration comes from everywhere.
It comes
man.
from anywhere, you know. But it's an awkward phase.
So Dunnie, man, so you know this trophy room thing is about inspiration. It's about sharing things that you've been through to inspire others, man. So what are some power plays that you would share, you know, with the world to show people how to get it in their own way to other visual artists, creative individuals like yourself, man?
Definitely, I would say when you first start, imitate everything that you can. Just everybody that you see, try and recreate it. Try and really just copy as many fucking styles as you can. Because what you're really going to end up doing is you're forcing yourself to get into the mindset of some of the artists that you look up to. When I first started, any magazine ad I saw, I had to recreate. May not have had the same photo, but it also taught me how to like source photos and source font and ask the questions like how did they get to this lighting? How did they get to this? How did he manipulate? Like, don't be afraid to just go ahead and do it. You're not gonna get paid for it. Who cares? Put in the time. You have to put in your 10,000 hours. I did that. I copied every single artist I could think of and try and recreate it digitally. Didn't do it very good on some, did great on others, but by the time it came time to like really start getting paid, I had a base that I didn't even realize I was doing. I was doing it out of pure fun. Like I saw a GQ cover, I started remaking GQ covers with selfie photos of myself because I wanted to figure out how did they get the text to be behind and in front? How do they overlay? Like how do they get in this alignment so perfect? Like why do they choosing this font style, this font type, all that? Like it's okay to just go ahead and copy as many people as you want. Something else I would say too is take every job possible. Like don't let any job be bigger than you, better than you. It's okay to do a logo and a party flyer and a coupon. Like it don't matter. Just it's all experience, and what you're really gaining is the business that you're gonna do from every one of those deals. You're gonna take away for the next. Say that logo job that you did, worst client in the world, guess what? You just now figured out how to set terms for the next client, so you don't have to have a repeat experience. So there's no such thing as like a bad experience. It's just a learning experience for the next guy.
Yeah. I mean, to quote, you know, Sean Diddy Combs, man, he says, if you can't do the little job, you don't deserve the big job.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's that in a nutshell. But you know, every champion, man, has their mantra. You know, what's that thing you wake up to that revs your engine, man? What's that beat you move to every day, man? What's that thing? Every champion has their mantra, man. What's the Dunnie West?
Man, it's definitely grown. As I've grown, it's grown. Sad to say, when I was younger, it was, you know, my line's been drawn in the sand. I had a kind of messed up mentality on that, though. If you kind of pissed me off, wasn't really messing with you, but you know, as I've grown, that's grown. But really now my mantra is just it's for me, it's for my family. Gotcha. I got to make the decision that's right for me first, and then I have to think about how that affects my family, and that's it. That's the only two things I have to care about. Those are the only things I will care about. And that's my motivation every single day. That's all. I mean, that's all. And I feel like most of us, you kind of got to be selfish, and you have to put yourself in that mindset.
Right.
Because if it's not for you and it's not for your family, well, who are you doing it for?
So, Dunnie, man, just want to thank you for coming through to the trophy room, man. Champions only, brother. Thank you for coming through, dropping that inspiration and sharing what it takes to, you know, sharing that journey with us, man.
Nah, absolutely.
Appreciate you, my brother.
Appreciate you wanting to put it out there, brother.
You're ready. My man.